Yeah,
Yes, sir.
fuck your couch.
Yo, what's up, people? This is By the Hoods Friday Live. I'm the host, as always, Jimmy. Got my brother Corey in the building. Corey, what's up, brother?
What's going on, Jim? How's everything in your life, man?
Everything is great, man. You know what I'm saying? This is our Friday Live. We've been bringing this every Friday for a little while now. Trying to make sure we just check in with everybody. Our good folks at By the Hood University, all the students there, we appreciate you. Just everyone who follows any of our content, we want to make sure we check in every Friday and answer some questions, talk about some topics, that come up during the course of our week as we're out there working with folk. Because Corey and I, on a daily basis, are working with individuals to try to help them build wealth, and that's in a number of ways, whether that be real estate, the markets, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? That's our mission, and that's what we're doing. So through doing that, we have conversations because there's a lot of questions that come up, and that's what we want to do is get to the questions, man. Shout out to our brother Jose, who's also always with us, man. I want to say we appreciate you, bro. He said he loves the name change, Core. So Jose, we appreciate you, fam, always rocking with us. But this episode is about speculation and investing because those two things are not the same, right? And there's a number of factors that go into whether you're investing or whether you're speculating. But let's just start the conversation off first with, first off, Corey, how are you?
I'm good, man. I've been grinding. I've been full time grind mode, 1,000% grind mode, trying to service the students in our academy, and also make sure that everything is straight. I'm actually teaching a class at Temple. So
Hmm.
I've been doing that. You know that's a full time job that I'm doing also, and I'm also trying to get everything together for for my family. You know we
Yeah,
uh
man.
we trying to get it all together. So it's a combination, a compilation of things.
Yeah, man. Shout out to all the students at Temple University. I mean, this curriculum, we y'all gonna get this work. We gonna tell y'all right now, y'all can get this work. So shout out to the students at Temple University because Corey and I have done work at universities and prisons and all over the place. And the bottom line is our people need this information, so we're gonna make sure they get it. A couple more comments real quick before we jump into it. Jose, appreciate y'all. We appreciate you too, bro.
Appreciate
Um,
you too, man.
Brother Don, man, what's good, brothers? How
What's
you,
up,
man?
Don? What's
Um,
going on?
Listen, man, much love to Don. Don supports everything we do, man. And by the way, Don, I just want to say I love your profile pic, the Black Titan, because that was an amazing book. You know what I'm saying? So more shout outs.
What's going
What's
on?
going on, Janelle? How are you?
Yeah,
Shout out
yeah,
to Janelle.
her son is amazing. Her son is Truth Jones, Christian,
Oh man,
and
young
yeah,
legend.
man,
He's a young
young
legend.
young legend putting out work in these streets.
And for those who haven't seen our interview with Truth Jones, make sure you check it out on our YouTube page. It's up there. He's an amazing man. This dude is a 13-year-old options trader, and it's not even the fact that he's trading options. It's his knowledge and his wisdom, and even his communication skills are like. Just watch the interview and you'll see what I mean. I mean, he's an amazing young man. And so salute to you, Janelle, for your work in raising an amazing young brother. Because always want to make sure that we give props to those out there putting in the work. But so yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about speculations versus investing, man. But Core, man, congratulations, man. We hear you out there in the streets buying up acres now, man. So
Yeah,
you're
man.
wealthy landowner, man.
I do a little bit sometimes, man. I don't do a lot all the time. I do a little bit sometimes, man. And I bumped my head on into something, man. My family wanted to make a change, so I grabbed up some acreage, and we're gonna drop a house on that thing soon. So picks to come.
All
You
right.
know what I mean?
So my question is, once y'all put the house on it, you still gonna have some land left. You gonna get a farm, or what you gonna do with the land, man?
I don't know, man. I might feed myself. I might, build some stuff. We uh we, we bought into a development. It's crazy is we bought all this land and it's still on a development. So
Okay.
it's some rules and regulations to that. So I don't know exactly, you know, what I'll be able to do. I
Yeah,
know
what you be able to do?
yeah, so I gotta check with the county and check the regulations before I start just willy nilly doing all kinds of reckless ass.
Well, congratulations nonetheless, man. That's amazing, man. I love when our people buy land, especially like you start getting up there in the acreage, man, because we taking back our land. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
Congratulations for you and your family, man. Because one of the things about what we do is, we still have to actually be practitioners. We can't just sit on here and talk about it if neither one of us are trading or buying anything. Like, we got to be out here making moves, man. So congratulations to you for that. Salute to all the Temple students that is getting information this summer. We're still trying to work on getting this camp thing pulled together for the youth. So we putting in work. But let's get to the main topic real quick, Cora, because I love to hear your opinion on some of these instruments. And before we do that, we got a congratulations an audience from Jose. If everybody watching on YouTube, Facebook, make sure you hit like. Make sure you share this in your timeline. Help get some folks in here if they got any questions about anything investing. It could be the most basic thing. There's no such thing as a bad question, or just comments. And if you know anybody with a black-owned business, also we like to highlight black-owned businesses while we do our live. We're on here for about an hour, but if anybody comes through with a black-owned business, we always want to shed light because this is about community building as much as it is finance. But I want to get your opinion on something real fast, which is the main topic of speculation versus investing. Let me try to pull this up real fast, and we're gonna start the conversation off with this. All right. So can you see this, Core?
yeah. It's
Let me know if you can see it,
I
bro.
think it's a scroll. And it's black now. It didn't. Oh, it's up
You
now.
got it though. I mean, but it's up there. Okay, I want to make sure it's
Yeah,
up there.
yeah,
All right. So for those in the comments, let me know if you can see this. But it's a little matrix here. It says investment and speculation. So the first thing they say is time horizon. We got this from the U.S. Global Investors. So if you have an investment is long term, saving for the future. Now I have a problem with that sentence, and I'll get to that in a minute.
yeah,
Speculation generally a short timeline of less than 1 year. Level of risk moderate with investment, high with speculation. Investor attitude with an investment is cautious and conservative, and aggressive when it comes to speculation. Decision criteria. So, an investment is based on fundamental and basic factors. Speculation is based on technical charts, market psychology, and individual opinion. Some examples, according to this matrix of investing, are stock market, bonds, mutual funds. In terms of speculation, options, foreign currency, and cryptocurrency. So if you guys can see that, make sure you give us your feedback on that little matrix, and we'll bring it up again before this episode is over. I just want to start, with that there. And before I give you the floor, Core, I just want to say my problem with that first sentence is I believe that it's not just investing and speculation. I think savings is a whole separate category outside of
yep.
investing and speculation. So I would put saving in its own category, right?
Saving and
Saving is
budgeting.
money that you need. Yeah, saving is money that you need, right? And it could be, short term or long term, but you're saving for something specific. And that's more about the preservation of your capital as opposed to the growth of your capital, right? So understand that when you have a savings instrument, whether that be a CD, a savings account, I don't care if you have Ally or whatever, most of the time you're not even going to beat inflation, but what you do have is security. So the higher level you go up in terms of with your money, the more chance you have of losing it, but also the more chance you have of gaining. Right. So let's just start off with that. That saving is something separate from investing as well as speculation. Because a lot of times people say, well, I'm saving money in my 401k. Are you investing money or are you saving money? Because it's not the same thing.
Yeah, because
Or I heard people,
your
I'm investing in
access
options.
your access to that money depends is the difference between saving and investing when you're talking about a 401k. So with your savings, you want to have instantaneous access or near instantaneous access, whereas with investment, sometimes your investments don't have that instantaneous access. You can't go to the ATM machine and swipe and come up off some of that, that investment money. But if it's in bricks, then it's going to take you a while to break it down so you can get that money out of the bricks.
Hmm.
So depending on what kind of investment it is, and the liquidity of that investment will say how you know whether it's savings or investing or some other instrument. I mean, liquidity has a lot of things to do with it, and that's one of the things we teach in our class too, because liquidity is
Yeah.
super important, and that's something that most people don't talk about. The liquidity of
Yeah.
your investment is super important.
Yeah. Yeah. And so understand what liquidity is how soon you can get to your actual investment. And, we're
Yeah,
talking about investment.
it's turning whatever asset it is into money. How fast can you do it? So
Mm-hmm.
that's all liquidity is. Don't try to overcomplicate it. Whatever asset you have, how fast can you turn that into money?
Yeah, understood, right? So then you have investing, right? So my question to you is, and we talk about specific instruments. This is where it gets interesting to me because depending upon who you talk to, they put certain things in a class of speculation versus investing. When I think of investing, I think of real estate, I think of the stock market, I think of art, I think of precious metals. But the interesting one to me is cryptocurrency. What bucket would you put cryptocurrency in?
Um, it's it's a store of value, and it's also so because you can store value in crypto. I wouldn't necessarily say it's speculative. So I would put it more in the savings investing bucket than in the speculation bucket. But there is
Well,
speculation involved in there.
and I guess it also could depending upon what coin you're speaking of, right? So
Yeah,
different coins can fit in different buckets. If you're doing one that's tied to the USD, then I guess that would be more of like a savings,
yeah,
right? So let's assume we have three buckets here. We have a savings bucket, investment bucket, and a speculation bucket. And one of the great things about this conversation is when you get to talking about things like stock options, which fall under the speculation bucket, because there's a lot of people out there trading options, and a lot of people are successful. But understand that you're not investing; you're speculating.
yep,
And I'll say something that it pisses people off when I say this. 95% of the people that are trading options probably shouldn't be doing so. And I say that because now it's okay that everybody right now is on their wave and they're making money. But as someone who's been in this game for a long time, I understand that most people don't do the homework or the necessary work that it takes to be an options trader. And you're going up against institutions and individuals who do this full time and who have machines and people who are working nonstop. So in but with that being said, I think that everybody should be saving and investing in those two buckets. Not that you can't
yeah,
get to the other bucket, but just understand that if you're going to be in that bucket, it takes a lot of work. You can't just whimsically just say, "Hey, I'm gonna read this one book or do this." Either you're going to be doing it or you're not going to be doing it. You know what I mean?
yeah. You
So
got to pay
that's
attention to your money, especially in options, because the thing about options is that in at any you're speculating on price movement. So you're
mhm.
speculating on and there's lots of factors that affect the movement of a price of a stock. And so when you in the market, you have to know what those factors are, or you're gonna consistently lose your money. And so a lot of people don't know what the factors are that make the companies that they buy move, and that's even with their long term investments. And so you know
That's a great point.
you got to know you have to know what affects those things. And so when we're talking about when we were talking about with this show, we wanted to talk about speculation versus investing. um Time horizons are super important in both things, right?
Hmm.
Because what I see with a lot of traders is they don't get themselves enough time to be right. So
Okay.
even, so that's the other thing. They in a rush to get the money and they don't get themselves enough time to be right. So they be buying because it's cheaper. They like to buy closer to the expiration date. They like to buy closer expiration date. Number one, you make more money, and number two, you you know it it's a rush. You know what I mean? Like they get
Yeah.
that rush of making fast money or losing fast money. Like that's gambling. Like if you
that's
lose
a
money,
that's a whole other bucket, right?
yeah,
And
that's
for everybody,
gambling.
everybody there watching, give us your opinion on this conversation about speculation versus investing and your experience and or understanding of the difference.
And
Because
yeah,
one of the
because I
things
know.
that
Yeah, I'm sorry. Before you start, I know a
Mhm.
lot of traders that day trade and are very good at it, and use close expirations because they put the time in and the work in. And then I
Mhm.
also know a lot of new investors who do this, who are buying these closer expirations and have no clue what they're doing, and they get lucky. The worst thing that can happen to a new trader is to make money on their first couple trades.
Man,
Like,
listen, and I can say that from experience because if first of all, if you're any sort of successful trader, if you haven't blown up an account, you're not really a successful trader. That's why another reason why I laugh at some folks because you're quick to show us your wins, but you're not going to show us your losses. And if you're worth any your weight in gold, no pun intended, but you'll have some losses and you'll blow up an account. But the point I was getting ready to make is I was having a conversation with our brother Malik this afternoon, and we were talking about the fact that people's people don't like to hear the truth. And the truth is, when you talk about investing, it's not a get rich quick scheme. So a lot of people like read things online and they see a lot of these quote unquote gurus and they're looking for the next penny stock or the next big thing or the next IPO or the next this and the next that. And they don't learn the fundamentals. And essentially what they're looking for is a lottery ticket, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
what happens
I was
is,
just about to say that. Like I can see why the lottery is so popular. I can see why the lottery makes the money it makes. Because being in the options and investing game, I can see why the lotto was so, and what's crazy is I am super aggressive.
yeah.
And I'll be looking at people, I'll be like, man, but I put in time, effort, work, I study. So
Hmm.
what looks like aggression to other people, to me, just seems like the right thing to do because I done did the numbers. I did the math. But for most people, they just out there willy nilly buying stuff without having put in any work. And it's like, yo, like that's if you're gonna do that, you literally might as well pay the lottery.
And listen, I'm fairly conservative when it comes to both of the buckets of investing as well as speculation, right? So talking to one of our students this week, I was telling him, I said, listen, I haven't made an options trade at this point in 2 weeks. And the reason I do that from time to time, I'll step off for a whole month, sometimes even 2 months. And the reason I'll do that is because when I feel myself making moves just to say I have some action out there, that's no good. Because I want to make sure I'm always sticking to the fundamentals, always doing my due diligence and doing my research. But it's so addictive, specifically when you're in a market like this that's very volatile and people are making money. So I have to maintain my approach. Okay, I won't trade anything. I'll just do cover calls, right? Or I'll sell puts. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to ever feel like I'm gambling. Because when you start to feel like you're gambling and you're doing things for the rush, you're not making sound decisions. So I'll just step away for a couple of weeks. But the one thing I'll never step away from is that bucket of investing, buying long-term, amazing companies and just sitting on them. But that's
Yep.
the kind of conversation that a lot of people don't want to have because they're looking for that lottery ticket and that rush. And that's why the mental part of this entire game, is the toughest thing. And again, this isn't investment advice. We're just giving our perspective from our experience and for educational and entertainment purposes. But it just understand that it's not about the rush. This isn't gambling. Like if that's what you want to do, just go to the casino or download like DraftKings or something. Make sure you download DraftKings because I own the stock. But
Yep. So do I. So go ahead.
let's see. Christine J says, "What about trading stocks?" So people out there are day traders as well. So as a trader, that's a little different than investing in stocks. If you're a swing trader or a day trader or whatever, you're jumping in and out of positions. That's more speculative than buying something and sitting on it for a long period of time. That goes back to that time horizon. When you say trading stocks, the word trading makes me think that it's a short-term thing. Because again,
Yep.
trading and investing, just like trading and speculation, are two different things. When you're trading something, you're buying and selling right away. When you buy a stock and you just sit on it as a buy and hold investor, that's buying a company and you're going to go, you're an owner in the company. You're going through the ups and downs of said company, collecting dividends or reinvesting dividends, whatever it is you're doing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just understand that trading and investing is different, just like speculation and investing. Um, but I like to talk about the different asset classes, Core, because, we talk a lot about the stock market, but real estate. Within the real estate game, you can speculate as well, which to me has always been problematic. As someone who has made a living off real estate their entire life, um, I've seen people come and go that are speculators. I believe in buying. If I'm not buying for cash flow, I'm not buying, right? So some people buy, land or buildings in a specific area because they say, okay, in a certain amount of time, this area is going to be this. I don't do that. I got to be able to buy it, rent it out, and make cash every month because to me, cash is king. I want cash. I don't care about you can have all your credit or you want to give me
It's not
cold,
cash.
hard
It's not
cash.
cash that's king. Cash is not king. Cash flow is king.
Cash flow is king, right? I mean, but the old adage is cash is king, but it's cash flow is king. If you want to, play semantics, say it's cash flow, but cash is king. If I have a choice between cash and credit, give me cash.
All
Credit can
day.
be pulled from
Every
you at any
single day.
time.
Every
Credit can be
single
pulled
day.
from you at any time.
Yeah,
Shout out to all the
credit.
people out there doing credit repair work that want to like sell y'all on the whole idea that credit is king. No,
Nothing
it's
wrong
not.
with good credit though. Nothing wrong with good credit. That means you can pay your bills and you're a responsible human being. But it doesn't mean what happens with credit is people don't use it for what it's supposed to be for, which is the leverage. And so people, be double and triple dipping. They'll buy something. They'll buy a depreciating asset with credit, which is
Hmm.
nuts. I
Yeah.
lose my mind when people do that
Well,
because
and
when
that's
you
the argument. That's the argument people make. They'll try to give you the math. Well, if I borrow this, but the fact of the matter is, let's look at data. Data shows that most people that borrow are using consumer credit, and they're spending money on depreciating assets. Most people who run up a tab aren't running up a tab to buy investments, right? We can do the math all day long, and that's one another thing about finance. We get into this conversation about what's possible and what the average person does. So mathematically, it's possible to borrow and make more money, but what the data shows us, most people don't do that. It's like we're like $14 trillion in consumer debt. That's not mortgages or buying real estate. It's people buying like, going
that's
out buying
Kohl's
shopping,
card.
buying clothes.
Yeah, that's your
Yeah,
Macy's card and your Kohl's card and your cards that your everyday consumer cards. Most people don't buy from Macy's and then flip it on eBay. Most people buy from Macy's and then end up with a tab and end up wearing the depreciated asset on their body. And so,
hmm
that's or they swipe their credit card to buy a cheesesteak and some pretzels in Philly. You know what I mean? Like you gonna eat that. So now you paying interest for a cheesesteak. It costs you $5 on your card, but if you don't pay it, it'll end up costing you $15 for that five.
man.
So
Some people are paying on meals they had a year ago, and they still paying on that meal. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
man.
Jose says speculating is hoping the winds of fortune turn your way, while investing is based on knowledge,
All
fundamentals.
facts. All
Yeah,
facts.
fax me that. But so but I also like to talk about the different instruments. Back to the whole real estate thing.
Yep.
There's different types of real estate investors, right? So I know some people watching might be wholesalers, might be buy and hold investors, might be flip. Whatever you do, understand the difference between investing and speculating, right? So a comment comes in from YouTube from Don. Never trust someone pushing credit too hard. I agree with that, man, because a
Crazy.
lot of times it's folks that do credit repair, and salute to y'all because y'all provide a service, but you gotta be careful with that. You have to be careful with that. Again, I know what's possible, but I also know what the data shows me because I read the data. So when you read the data, you start looking at things different. You know what I mean? That's why the behavioral part of finance is so important because you have to understand your temperament, right? Like that's why I don't get. Sometimes people say I want to buy real estate, but I don't. And I'm like, what you're telling me is you don't want to be a landlord, so don't be a landlord. Everybody doesn't have the temperament that it takes to be involved in real estate, but it doesn't mean you can't invest in real estate. It just means that you're not meant to be a landlord, right?
Yeah. And it's 150,000 ways to make money in real estate that don't involve being a landlord.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. As a matter of fact, that's a great piece of content that I'll shoot something on that because there's so many ways to make real estate without being a landlord. And you can invest in real estate without having to like get up and change pipes or yeah. I got a call one time from a tenant. I got a call one time from a tenant. It's a true story. Old lady was renting a place for me. It was on 10th Street. She says, "Mr. Jimmy, I need something fixed." I said, "Well, what's wrong?" "I need a light bulb change." I'm like, "So you call me at 10 o'clock at night because you need a light bulb change? Yo, that's not a repair, right?" But these are sometimes you'll get calls like that. Like you will literally get calls like that. Fun thing is, I don't mind. You know what I'm saying? I decided
Yeah.
to approach it different. I got two phones and I'll cut one phone off and like, yo, if it's an emergency, leave a message and I'll get the message on the other one. But if it's not an emergency, because a lot of times it's not. You have to train your tenants literally the same way you would train, a kid or an animal. Like you have to let them know what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. That's a whole sidebar. But anyway, back to our original conversation. Shout out to everybody chiming. We got more people tuning in right now. For those tuning in, we're talking about the difference between being an investor and someone who speculates and our experiences with ourselves, as well as people that we help with investing and speculating. So, one of the conversations me and you had earlier, and we said let's talk about this, was about how the Fed, affects what we do as investors or those who are on the side of speculating. So, just give your opinion real fast about how the Fed affects what it is we do.
So, um, the Fed, for those people who don't know, uh, sets the interest rates, and they affect how banks borrow money from that institution, and then when that is affected, it affects how you borrow money and how businesses borrow money. So when I'm looking at some of these companies, because I'm gonna start with companies first, and then I'm gonna go to people. Um, so when companies borrow from the banks, they're getting right now zero interest loans. So a lot of them is running debt up right now because they can get these zero interest loans. When the rate is higher, when the interest rate is higher, they tend to borrow less, because they have to pay it back at a higher rate, and it raises their debt ceiling a lot. So they can borrow more money at a lesser price right now. And so a lot of these companies is going Samuel L. Jackson out here and grabbing up all of this money, and it's making their bottom lines look weird, for some of these companies. And then some of these companies are just perpetual and habitual line steppers, and they just borrow money, and they not making no profit off of that money, and they like. And so, speaking on that, they like people who borrow money right now. People buying houses and have the ability to buy houses under 3%, and that's unheard of. You buy a house and you only owe 3%. That is that's unheard of. That's unheard of lows. And
Yeah.
so right now, it's affecting people. But the thing is, they're tightening the restrictions, and this is where credit is actually important. They're tightening the restrictions on credit limit. You know what I mean? And so you got to have a
So
higher standard of credit, but you also can get more for less right now.
so that is important. That shows. So I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I say about credit. What up, O checking in is a student. Omar, a student at Bada University. But um, what I mean by that is just understand that I'd rather have the cash, because another thing about credit is you don't control it.
Yeah.
So you just proved that point too. If I don't have any control and you can yank all my credit back, give me that in cash, right?
Yep.
If I have my cash, right, and that gets into a whole different conversation I wanted to have, because I'm at the point now to talk about a little bit about my personal portfolio. So I've been buying properties for decades now, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm narrowing down my real estate portfolio to just the properties I want to keep. Um, my long-term invested in terms of securities is kind of like on autopilot, and then I'm jumping in options whenever I feel like it or I see a play. So one of the things I've been recently trying to study myself, and anybody out there who may have information, who's watching this, because we got people tuned in on both YouTube and Facebook, that is precious metals. I've been spending this past week doing all sorts of research, reading books. I've been in YouTube University. I got introduced to a brother through one of my Facebook friends who teaches courses on precious metals, and I'm trying to learn that game. Right? I've really, not that I had an aversion to it, but I've always been a real estate guy and a stock guy. But now I'm at the point now where I'm trying to further diversify and just have an understanding of a whole new market. So if anybody out there um, has any sort of expertise or any advice in terms of precious metals, please hit me up, because I'm looking to learn. Um, but that's a whole different conversation when you talk about the Fed, when you talk about printing money, and when you talk about the value of having hard assets like gold and silver. And also for those watching, we love books and we love giving book recommendations. If you go to the link in our bio, there's several books that we recommend, and one of them is The Creature from Jekyll Island,
Man, that book
which
is crazy.
which gives you information. I'm actually rereading it now for like a fourth time. It gives you information about the Federal Reserve, how it was created, how it works. When you read that book, it's an amazing piece of history, but also just knowledge, and it'll make you look at it makes you look at the world different.
Put
It's like
put
once
put
you read that book, it's like coming out of the Matrix.
put that book on the screen, man, because that is
Yeah,
like everybody should read that.
yeah. It's the
Like
creature from Jekyll
the
Island. Let me get
creature,
the
the creature from Jekyll Island, and not making no
wait,
recommendations,
talk
but
about it real fast while I find the cover.
not making no recommendations, but you can get it on PDF. I'm just gonna say, for those people who dollars might be kind of tight. Hey, listen, man, I've read it. I've read the original version of it, but I also have a PDF version. I'm not gonna lie. So
No,
because
I think it's honestly I think it's worth buying. I think it's one of those things where
I bought the book, but that's what I'm saying. I
it's
have the
like
book in my library,
there's
but
certain
I
books
also
that
have
I
the PDF
have that
version.
like are what I deem classic. So, but I'm drawn though. I own it on like Kindle. I got the Audible. That's why I'm rereading now because they just dropped the Audible version. So I'm actually listening to it. But I read the Kindle. I
I,
have the hardcover book. But that book right there gives you so much game
it
on
is.
how the Federal Reserve was created and how it actually works. So when you understand how it actually works, you look at everything different. You start to see like, yo, this is all a joke. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah,
even real. You start looking at things as not being real.
yeah. Because
But it's a very important piece.
no, it's real, but it just yeah, it just make you it change your whole perspective on how what money is and how it moves and the players in the game, the real players in the game. Like it'll tell you who the real players in the game are. You know what I mean? Like because right now, who we think the players in the game are, like there's people be talking about playing chess, right? And people be talking about the king and the queen and people are pawns and all of that. The Fed and those people, they're the actual player. They're the person moving the pieces. All of the
So
pieces
real
on the
quick, this is
board.
what the book looks like. This is what the book looks like. You can go to the link in our bio, look up recommended books, but it's called The Creature from Jekyll Island. And I think it's an amazing book that everyone should read if you're really looking to understand how money works, how money moves, who's in control of the resources, how our government works, who's really out here running things. Then that's all of what I just said within that book. It's a classic book. But getting back to this conversation, though, Corey, I'm trying to learn precious metals. I'm trying to learn how do you go about studying gold and silver, when to make the purchase, the right entry points, how to stack, why to stack. Because I'm learning all new. There's a whole culture behind that. So they call
Yeah,
it stacking silver, just like it is with crypto. Crypto is the same way. But what's interesting to me about like studying gold and silver now is as someone who's been in the crypto space is when you see the how could I say this? Like, so if you work in modeling, right? There's a term like correlation or it's called a VIF score when you see like things that this cross. So there's a huge correlation or VIF score between cryptocurrency and precious metals. There's a lot of similarities in how they work, and it gave me a different perspective of crypto while studying how gold works. Um, because you recognize that it's a little bit of like if you're a libertarian, you would love this. It's a little bit of operating outside of the system, so to speak, but it gives you a certain level of power and also from an appreciation standpoint. One of the reasons I've never really gotten involved in precious metals is because there's no cash flow there. But once you understand how to marry cash flowing assets with assets that are, I
that
say,
hold
growth assets, yeah, or
they get
stores of value, because it
yeah,
does store value,
yes, there's
but
storage
it
of
also has
value.
increasing value.
It
Because when I
does,
look at
but
an ounce of gold, an ounce of
it's slow growing though.
dog, an ounce of gold is going for 2 racks. In March, before Rona hit, it was like 1,300.
No,
And
for sure.
I noticed that because I was like, I was flirting with it back then. You know what I'm saying? I was flirting with it back then, but now I asked to go out on a date. Now I'm really getting my hands in it. But you know what I'm saying? Try to see what's up with it. But I was looking back then, I was like, it's 1,300, and now it's about 2 grand. Now, granted, it's because of what's happening because people start to pull money out of other asset classes and move that way when things like that happen. But it's just an interesting thing to study. Um,
That
when
I
you
did the same thing, but I put mine in crypto, like because I understand that asset better. Like you studying precious metal, I understand the crypto assets better than I do the precious metals. I
yeah.
never, I don't have an aversion to precious metals, but I don't need to hold the things physically that I have. You know what I mean? Like if I don't ever see them, I know they're there, and as long as I can access them, it doesn't bother me.
But you know what though? It's a certain level of right. So we get into when we talk about assets, right? We talk about the power of liquidity. There's a certain level, there's a certain value being associated with something being in your hand as well, which is why a lot of our folks love real estate because they can go see it, touch it, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
I'm the
when you look
opposite though. I'm the opposite of those kind of people though.
I got you, I
So,
got you.
so it's like you said, it's about investors. It's about the mentality of whatever investor you are. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you said that earlier. It's about investor mentality. Like most people would like to be able to feel and touch on their investments. You know what I mean? That's why people collect things and 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 have collections. That's why collections hold value and stuff like
And
that.
also, not even trying to be funny, I said there's a high correlation between crypto and hard assets like precious metals. There's a huge correlation between people who invest in precious metals and doomsday preppers too, right? So
Yep.
you know how it is on YouTube though. Like I'll go on YouTube and I'm looking up like old Kobe highlights, and the next thing I know, I'm looking at like the birth of a polar bear or something in Australia. I don't know how I got I don't know how I got there, but
The
the
rabbit
algorithm done
hole.
play games with yo. The algorithm got to me, and I'm all over the place. I got in the YouTube rabbit hole. So I'm watching some videos on precious metals. Real quick, let me get to Jose's comment real quick. There was a recent article that came out about China's gold producers getting a huge credit based on fake gold deposit.
Yeah,
That's
they
another
was.
thing.
Yeah, they was
Scam
scam Greer,
Anderson. Yeah,
scam Greer.
Scamala Anderson. But listen though, so the thing is, there's a high correlation. So I'm on YouTube and I'm looking up videos trying to learn. Next thing you know, I'm on John's. People talk about, yo, you gotta pack your food for 3 months. You gotta get a bunker and all this. And I'm laughing, but there's a certain level of value that comes with having your thing that asset in your possession. Because if it hits the fan, what's going to have value is those assets, and if you got any firearms, man. So the one thing I'm taking from Ronan, man, is I'm taking it back, man. I'm out here going fishing. I'm learning. I already had my weaponry, but I'm getting better at it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
this is what I'm taking from Rona personally, but I'm also trying to learn a whole new skill set, which is investing, and even if it is speculating, is within the precious metal space, and I'm looking for as much help as possible. So I want to bring that to our audience as well, because I like to learn from you guys as much information as I can give out. I like to learn from you guys as well. But you said you're different. Like you're different than that. You
yeah.
like to
I
have your
mean,
stuff out in the cloud
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. Like so, digital assets to me. My thing is because the world is moving into a more digital place, and the technology is getting to the point where, you know, if they gonna take mine, they gotta take everybody's. You know what I mean? Like they can't
Hmm.
specifically. Is not that they can't target me, but is extremely difficult to target an individual with so much technology out here if you're savvy about the technology out here. And so I don't mind not having it. Like I have I have most of my assets are either digital or in the stock market, right? I have, you know, like today I was talking about buying land and stuff like that, and things of that nature. But more, my whole thing is I'd rather not have to touch it, because if I have to touch it, that means there's something I have to do to it. There's maintenance that has to be done. So I want low maintenance stuff. So
No, I
I used to be big on collections, right? So like I used to have comic book collections. I used to collect tops. I used to collect bottle caps. I used to collect bottles. So I was a collector. And if you come in my crib, I look like a freaking hoarder, right?
yeah.
So, but at the point where you know, I started to, how to say declutter your life.
Hmm.
I sold most of that stuff and put it into other asset classes. And
That's
so
interesting because I was a coin collector younger, and mine was strictly about the money. It wasn't about the. Oh, here's the thing: I love history too. So, and that
yeah,
actually is my
I'm
love
a
of
lover of
history.
history.
My
Yeah.
love of history is actually what made me a terrible coin collector because
You don't
because
want
when
to
I was
give it away.
well,
Now you don't want to sell it.
that's one part of it. The second part of it, I was more caught up in the history of the numismatics value. So it's like you value it based on these set of principles, but the history is like this is a beautiful part of history. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'll
Yeah.
have that. But I still have some coins and some of that stuff as well. And I understand what you're saying because I try to move towards more of a minimalist lifestyle as well. And which is a difficult thing. I'm a fake minimalist. I'm a striving to be a minimalist. I'm striving, man. You know what I'm saying? I think all of us got a little bit of hoarder in this, but I'm
Oh, for
striving, man.
sure.
I'm
For
striving,
sure.
man. So,
Oh
But so
no,
the
we
thing
all
is,
got it in us. Both
so the
sides.
thing is, but as an investor, right? And again, we always talk about the investor's mindset is one thing we always talk about. So I want to be diversified across all sorts of stuff. So I buy art, I buy crypto, right? I buy real estate, I buy stocks. Yo, I was online yesterday looking up first edition Animal Farms. I'm trying to get into the purchase of
First
like
edition game.
cla- classic books. Like, so I'm doing all kinds of craziness because to me is interesting, but also you're diversified across all sorts of things. Got a comment. Jeff Kennedy says, Salak, what's up? He's from Instagram. He hits us up on Instagram all the time. Salute to you, bro. He's a black business owner. Salute to you. Put in the comments what your business is so we can tell people how to find your business. If you got a website or an IG link for your business, we always like to highlight black-owned businesses. And salute to everybody tuning in that found this on IG because our folks on IG are amazing. We have a huge following on IG. Make sure you follow us at By the Hood because our IG is popping. But yeah, man. So I understand your perspective on wanting everything digital, but there's a certain value associated with having that physical thing. And
Well,
also,
it's not all digital. I mean, like I said, I own property. I also, I still got parts of
listen,
those
man.
collections. I still got parts of those collections. Cause like, when we were moving, my wife was like, "Yo, you got so much shit." Like, she was really cussing me out. Like, yo, like every time we move, part of the reason why I sell off part of my collections is because I'm not attached to any place as a residence. Like I'm a
Hmm.
resident of the world. You know what I mean? I don't believe in these fake ass borders and all this other crazy ass
I
shit.
got you. No, I understand
So
what you're saying. It's easy to
so
do that.
yeah, so but you know, I got young kids, so I want them to have some stability. You know what I mean? I don't want
Yeah.
to be all over the like I'll globe trot, but then I don't want to be, I don't want to have them in that lifestyle. They like a more sedentary lifestyle than I do.
Yeah, that's
So
why you went out there. You went out and bought a farm for him. So we got a comment from Kahan. What's up, Kahan? How you good, brother? Kahan is amazing, man. He took the Bodyhood University intro course, the analysis course, and he's also just got the DYO course. So he's doing the full gamut. So we already know he about to get money. He says a lot of
yeah,
money is being made on biotech speculation right now. That's true, but guess what also is happening? There's gonna be a lot of money lost in biotech speculation.
yeah. Anytime it's always gonna be bag holders. It's like the people that do the flower
Always.
susu. It's like the people who do the flower susu. I got 6 of those joints again today, man, and 3 people called me. Stop calling me about these nut ass flower susus. I'm not putting my people in no position to be bag holders. I'm not
Yeah.
getting involved in that shit. Don't call me no more. Leave my wife alone too, man. She can't get involved as long as I'm with her. My money will not go into none of that shit, and she don't got 2 friends. Nah.
All right. So, um, the thing about it, right? When you start to do this for a long time, you see things and you just laugh as waves come and go. Um, I remember the dot-com bubble. There was a lot of money
Yo,
being made during the dot-com bubble until people, got left holding like pet.com. Everybody didn't get Amazon, bro. Like I remember I was in the market, but the thing about it is when you buy great companies that you know have stability, that you know will be there. At the time during the dot-com bubble, most of my bread was in Coca-Cola and McDonald's. Guess what? Coca-Cola and McDonald's are still around today, as my man says, to this day. So
to this day.
I lived through that. I lived through '08. Yeah, when people lost money speculating and all kinds of stuff, specifically in the real estate game, buying properties in Phoenix and all over the different areas where it was all speculation, right? Where the value was going up so fast, they didn't care whether they cash flow. They went against the fundamentals of investing. Lived through COVID, lived through like I was investing, what I'm saying? I was investing during 9/11. So when you start to see that, you see the pattern. So you just sit back and just laugh, like, because I know people are going to make money, but it's going to be a lot of people that are hurt and get caught holding the bag, as you said.
And most bag holders are your regular investors. Like the institutions ain't gonna get left holding nothing.
Absolutely
Those
not. Another great.
they're not
All right,
gonna
so
get left holding. The people who normally hold the bag are your casual investors and traders. So don't be casual with your investments and trades.
yeah.
Don't
So
be a bag holder.
another thing, right? So we like to give book recommendations. We already talked about the one book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Another book I'll put out there is Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Another amazing investment book, and he talks about data. And he also, part of that book is he sits down with the world's greatest investors and gets their perspective on investing. So, Money Master the Game. Make sure you get that book. It should be also in our recommended book section. But one of the things he talks about in there is understanding that when you're in the speculation part of this, so again, we talk about these buckets, right? Savings bucket, investing bucket, speculation bucket. When you're operating in the speculation bucket, you're going against people who have billions and billions of money, as the boy said in the DirecTV commercial, billions and billions of dollars, who have all sorts of technology and things, and they're investing in that. And you're literally going against them because don't get it mistaken. When you win on a trade, someone's losing on the other side of that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people don't recognize that when you make money with a trade, somebody's on the other side of that trade. Um,
Bag holders everywhere. It's bag
yeah.
holders in every.
So,
That's but see, what people don't understand is like 80% of people. Uh, so basically, 20% of people can make money in their first year's trading options, which is that's great. But by the time you get to year four, it's like 3% of options traders make money over a 4 year span.
dude, I just read it. I just read the data yesterday. It's literally at 1% now.
It's
One
one
percent.
percent. 1%. So now
Mm-hmm.
1% of option traders make money over a 4 year span. And it's because of the market fluctuations and because it's highly speculative and people are not trading systems. They're trading numbers or what they know and all of that, man. You got to have a trading system. If you
Yep.
do not have a trading system, you should not, like Jim said, you shouldn't be trading no damn options. You shouldn't be out here, you know, shooting dice with your hard-earned money. If you're gonna shoot dice, you might as well go to one of these casinos, put a mask on, and go shoot dice with your money.
Here's something else I'm gonna tell you, right? Here's something else I'm gonna tell you that I know is gonna get me cussed out, and I'm gonna get a couple inboxes about this, right? I already told you 95 to 99% of people shouldn't be trading options, right? And here's another thing I'll pull out. 90% of y'all shouldn't be buying individual stocks,
How about that?
right?
Lord
90% of y'all should
knows.
just put your money in index funds and just like be like, yo, I'm done. Because the fact is, unless you're willing to do the work, follow these companies. You should be on their conference calls. You should if you can't tell me who the CEO of a company is, then you shouldn't own it, right?
Website. Go
Understand
to yeah.
Understand that when you buy stock, you are buying equity in a company. Look at your portfolio. You should be able to tell me who the CEO is of every company you own. If you can't do that, you probably shouldn't be buying individual companies. Yeah, it should be in index funds because we like to talk about investing, but our thing is everybody's not built to be an entrepreneur. And listen, everybody can invest and own something. Just own something. But you can do that through an index fund if you're not willing to put the work in. And that right there is like people get pissed when I say that, but I really believe that because if you're just buying stuff willy nilly because I hear this, I hear that, and you're jumping into stuff and every day you want to change what your whole philosophy or strategy is because FOMO is real. FOMO is crazy. FOMO is absolutely insane. With this whole Corona thing, I saw FOMO several times, like between the whole idea of Tesla and all the Tesla knockoffs, the FOMO and that, the FOMO and all these pharmaceutical companies. I'm like, what pharmaceutical company did you have before this? None. Well, I want to see who's going to get the. I'm investing in a company that's going to
Coronavirus.
get the coronavirus. You're not investing. You're
Yeah.
speculating. None of us know who's it going to be unless you got some inside information. You know what I'm saying? Unless
Yeah,
Blue
man.
Horseshoe loves Anacott still. If you ain't got that, then you know what I'm saying. And if you know, you know. Jose says AI speculation is growing as AI development continues to grow, and that's across multiple sectors of the economy. I agree with that, and that's one of those things when you start to train yourself as an investor. If you're willing to put the work in, if you're willing to invest in yourself, and you're willing to learn, and you start to see the world different, then you can actually make money doing that. Listen, if you're willing to put the work in, you can go to all those buckets: saving, investing, and speculating. But understand that the further bucket you go from saving, everybody should be saving anyway. You should be saving several months of your income, just putting it up, something that's safe, just saving. Everybody should be saving. Everybody should be investing. If you're not willing to put the work in, just get a 3 fund portfolio and just like go back to having fun and doing
And,
whatever it is you're doing.
or
If you're
buy a
willing to,
buy a duplex.
or buy a duplex. Here you go. Buy a duplex. Buy a fourplex. Just do that and just like live your life. If you're willing to put the work in, though, you can move from that. Now, if you want to put further work in and put yourself in that upper echelon, then you can go to the speculation bucket. Christine over on YouTube says, yes, money master their game. got me into index funds. Absolutely, that's an amazing book with a lot of factual data in there, and I've actually went back and like just verified some of the numbers, and it's a good book though, and it does talk about index funds, which most people should be in. Um, Jose says people are watching trends. Yeah, it's cool to watch trends and it's cool to take advantage of trends, but make sure that you're making sound decisions and you're not just following through. Like you shouldn't be changing what you want to invest in on a daily basis. And as someone who spends a lot of time on social media, just talking to a lot of the people that follow our work and also a lot of our students, I see it. Listen, I want to do this. Now I want to be in this. Now I want to be in that. Like you can't jump from fad to fad. You need to, like Corey said, what is your system? And that's as an investor and a trader. Stick to the script. Stick to
You
the
know, you,
script.
you you know what I do to get my trade and bug out? I start small accounts, $100, $200 accounts, and I trade the hell out of those $100, $200 accounts. I get the same rush as if I'm trading at 5,000, 10,000, 25,000, $50,000 account. It's the same rush.
Yeah, yeah,
And
fact.
at that point, I waste $200 a week. So if I do, I mean, I'm just gonna keep it a bean. I'm fat. I buy a lot of fast food, and so I waste $200 a week. So if anytime I have the trading Jones where I just have to trade a lot, I start a small account. I started one that's on my Facebook page right now, and I hate trading on Webull because like I can't trade the way I want to trade. Like I lost like $8 today because I wasn't able to trade it at the exact number I wanted to trade it at. I had to trade it in $5 increments, and so I ended up not getting my all my money out anyway.
Mhm.
When I got the trading bug, man, I start small trading accounts. So like on my larger trading accounts, them Jones just they're operating on a system. I literally put how much I'm going to win or how much I'm going to lose before I start the trade. I know exactly what I'm going to win or lose before I start. So
Mhm.
that's that's on basically on autopilot. But when I got the Jones to touch 1,000 different companies, I start one of these little trading accounts, $100, $200 trading accounts, and you could just learn. They got the trading accounts now where you could do the what's that the paper trading.
Paper trading.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like paper trading though because if I can't win or lose for real, I don't want to do it. But
See, and
that's
but
just
see
me.
but that's the problem. And to me, that's why a lot of times I'll take a break from doing that, unless I see a place. A lot of times when companies have earnings coming up, and I've been paying attention to it. So what I find myself doing is companies that I have in my long term portfolio, and I don't even have that many companies. In fact, this past week I got rid of one company, and I said it on here a couple weeks ago that I was holding Penn National Gaming, and I made a shit ton of money with it during Rona. I was up like it was close to 100%, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it long term. I sold all that shit. I sold all of it, and I bought more Johnson and Johnson. So because that's one of my long term holds. J&J, Coke, Disney, that trifecta right there. I've been holding stock in those three companies longer than some people watching this have been born. Um,
All
but
the
those
fact.
are my bread and butters outside of VU and MGK. You know, those five things right there make up a majority of my portfolio. But what I say that to say this, a lot of times if I see an options trade, I'm trading on something that I hold long term because I'm watching it already. You know what I'm saying? So we got a couple comments before we get out of here. Let me bring them up. When Terry says, "Man, it's a video on YouTube that I watch on a flower susu." The young lady says it's a way to build wealth. I shook my head right away and said, "This is illegal." So Kahor says, "I'm still working on my system, but I'm doing okay so far." That's what's up, man. Like you need any help with anything, man, reach out to us at
Yeah,
any time. You know what I'm saying? I've been learning to quick trade penny stocks. What y'all think about that? So before we get out of here, I'm going to answer your question, Jeff, about penny stocks. All right, so I used to trade penny stocks maybe 20 years ago, right? And I had a couple bad experiences, right? I was right on my speculation because that's what that is speculation, but I couldn't get out because there was no volume. And that's the worst feeling in the world when you're up 1,000%, but there's nobody to buy. So you're
no,
sitting there stuck.
yeah, yeah. That's one thing. I also, I still trade penny stocks. Like if you on the
Well, by
penny stock is
definition,
anything under
why?
under by definition
Exactly.
anything under $5. So I so technically I trade penny stocks, but yeah, it's it's
And
a
I'm gonna
lot
tell
of
you
point.
Another real
Go ahead.
bad experience I had. We got like 4 or 5 minutes left. Another bad experience I had. It was a company called the Hip Hop Soda Shop, right? And they kind of had they had this idea. They were going to build these what's the rock and roll joints they have? It's one on 11th and Market where they have like a restaurant, but it's like Hard Rock
Group.
Cafe. So
Yeah.
it was like the Hard Rock Cafe, except it was hip hop based. Like they had Biggie Small shakes and Tupac fries and like Nas all that. So I was like, yo, it was a penny stock. Yo, I think I might have owned like 100,000 shares of that junk, and I thought I was gonna be a billionaire when it blew up. And they had one location in Florida. The ticker symbol was HTRE, if I remember. And I remember this because like this is one of my lessons. I've made every mistake there's to make investing on both sides, stocks and real estate. But I'm gonna share the story with the audience real fast. So, and I own 100,000 shares because it was under $1. The John was like 20, 30 cents, something stupid like that. So I had all these shares. You know what I mean? I'm sitting in the crib, like thinking about the exotic women I'm gonna get to spend time with, the boats I'm gonna be on. So the first store failed miserably. Next thing I know, my joint shot down from 30 cent. I'm trying to get out. Nobody wants to buy. It's at 10 cent. I look, it's at 1 cent. Yo, that joint just went completely off the market. So I have a bad taste in my mouth with penny stocks because there's not enough volume. You know what I mean? I just stay away from it. I stick to the script. I stick to the fundamentals, man. Shout out to everybody from the hip hop soda shop, whoever you are, because I know some of y'all are still out here walking around, man. But y'all had me out here. I had these dreams, man. I was like Biggie with these dreams, man.
Yo,
You know what I'm saying? I had
first
these
of all,
my
first of all,
dreams.
there are some good penny stocks out there. Neo was a penny stock 2 weeks ago. It was $3.89 3 weeks ago. It's not so. It was technically a penny stock. So there are some penny stocks that you can buy that have Neo had 30 million in volume a day. So there are penny stocks out there that you can watch and that you can watch, but don't
Yo,
don't don't make don't try to make a living on trading penny stocks.
do not. And when I say exotic women, man, you know what kind of women I like, man. Stop that, Cajon. I see what he said. He said I sound like 50 talking about the exotic women. No,
No,
man. I listen, man. I was talking about in Ghana, man. I was gonna move to Ghana, and I was gonna like share intimate. I was going to share intimate moments with a bunch of. I was on my way to Ghana. Next thing I
oh
know,
man,
that joint hit. That
they
joint flew
derailed your
right off the
dreams.
market.
I'm mad at them. I'm mad at them for you for
Yeah, man,
derailing your
messing up my
dreams.
dreams, man. We about to get out of here. We only do an hour here. Summer Nicole. Shout out to Summer. Supports everything we do. She asked about Neo. Yes, you talking about Neo, Neo,
NIO,
and IO.
NIO,
Yeah, and IO.
NIO.
That's not investment advice. That's
that's
just
not
story.
investment advice, and that
Look it
was
up though.
it's a electric vehicle company
All right, folks. Listen, man.
that's based in China.
We
Go
only
ahead.
do an hour on these Fridays, but we will be back next Friday to talk some more. Make sure you join us. We're on seven to 8 every Friday. Bring your questions and anything. Make sure you check out what we got going on. And check out everything. We got amazing podcast dropping Wednesday with Jabbar Fairweather, who tells amazing stories. He's a real estate guy in Philadelphia who's killing it. So make sure you tune into the podcast on Wednesday and check us back here next Friday. Bring all your questions. If you're a black-owned business, make sure you check in with us Friday. We like to highlight black-owned businesses. If you got a website or anything you want us to share, we shared it on Friday with our audience. But thank you for tuning in, and we'll see y'all here next week. Peace.